what was the point I was getting to? Oh yes. Hi, it's Shannon here from houseimprovements.com. And in the previous video, you've seen me install these floor joists on the cabin build. And in today's video, I want to show you how to deal with the stairwell opening, how to finish framing that for the floor joists. So I've got a few things prepped up here. I've built the outer section that's just solely sitting on the basement wall. So this inside edge is just flush with the inside of the basement wall, and obviously this is flush with the outside. This area here, obviously before you sheet the floor, it's going to have to be insulated because you're not going to be able to get into it again because it's all closed up. So make sure you don't forget to insulate areas like that before you put your sheeting down. Just to talk about a few things. So how did I determine my opening size? Well, most times if you're working off a plan, that's all going to be predetermined for you. So in my case, I had that all figured out on my drawing, and just simply took some measurements, got everything measured off and cut to what I needed. And I already installed those floor joists that are cut short, as you can see, including the blocking along the beam and everything. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to install that rim piece that you see laying on top to the end of those cut joists. And then we can't just leave that whole thing in this case like that. We need to support that, those floor joists that are hanging off the beam, we need to support it with another beam and posts underneath. Now I like this system when the stairwell is perpendicular with the floor joists, as opposed to some more expensive systems where you've actually got to replace this floor joist with a like an engineered beam right from the steel beam in the house over to the edge. And as well, this one would have to be an engineered beam as well instead of just a regular floor joist. With this system here, because I'm already going to have a wall anyways along the staircase in the basement, there's no reason that I can't have a beam and post supporting those floor joists hidden in that wall. And it just saves, well, it probably saves probably a couple $1,000s actually on this particular setup. So you still need a beam and everything to support that, but you just have a little less materials and engineered products than doing it the other way. So I think that's about it for the intro. We'll get right into this. Okay, so I'm down working off a scaffold, so I can be down at a decent level here to do this. So this is the plate. So this is actually going to go on like that onto the end here. I've already got it pre-marked out here, and all I had to do to figure out those marks is just basically measure what my layout is, which is 16 inches on center, because this here is going to go right against this last full length joist. So it's just a continuation of my 16-inch centers. So that's marked out. I added a block on both ends on the bottom side of the two end joists, just so when I flip this down it can sit on there and I don't have to actually hold that thing up and balance and nail and everything else. It will basically sit there while I work. So basically the nailing pattern is just going to be, I'll be nailing through this into these ends. So I'm just going to be putting one nail in each one. That's really all you need, because this whole end is going to be then supported by the beam underneath. So this is really just lipstick on a pig. It's just finishing this opening and basically keeping the spacing of these joists. So there's nothing real structural about this beam here, or this piece here. And this is the same material as I used on the whole rest of the outside floor system, and you would have seen that in the previous video as long as you watched it. Go check it out. While I'm on that topic, click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I know you like what you see. You keep coming back. Oops, now I just about put it backwards. Got me distracted. So I can set that down on my blocks and it'll basically sit there. And I'm using a 3.5-inch ring shank nails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flush these to the bottom of this piece. So I'll just lift that up and to my mark. Oops, and turn the nailer on. There we go. So I'm just going to continue on all the way along there, nailing each one. And then on these ends, I don't think I mentioned that actually. Okay, so these are the floor joists that we're using. So these are a TJI, this is the abbreviation for them. To be quite honest, I don't even know what that stands for. So common term though in construction for this type of joist. So we basically have an OSB web, and then the top and bottom cords, in this case they're solid lumber on these ones, but sometimes they'll even be engineered lumber like this. But these ones are solid wood. I prefer the solid wood ones. This is a 9.5 inch TJI. They come in different heights, so depending on your span, whatever, they'll be spec'd differently. What was the point I was getting to? Oh yes. So you notice we have a void here, right? On these particular ones, this is 1 inch difference from the face here to there. So what I did in the very two end TJIs that went full length is I needed to fill in that void, and I just simply used 2 layers of 1/2 inch plywood to create a flat surface here. So that'll do a couple things. That'll help with drywalling because we can just drywall right across it or whatever. But it also gives me a nice surface here to nail through, because I'm going to nail through that web into the end of these at both ends. Again, remember, none of this is structural. If it was structural, we'd be doing joist hangers and everything, which you still could do if you wanted to, but it's really not needed in this case, since this is going to be supported by a beam from the bottom anyways. Sliver. So I had a mark over here, which is this face of this joist, and I know it's sitting down on my block down here, so I can put a few nails through the end of it, and that's just to keep it from twisting or anything. Hey, they all even hit the wood. Perfect. Okay, same thing on this side. I've got a mark here already, and I'm just going to fire through this back side of the web, through that thickened part that I added on this side, and into the rim. That one felt like it missed, but it didn't. Okay, so we've got that all nice and solid, but there'll be some bounce out here, right? Because this still isn't structurally strong enough hanging off of that beam that's over there, or whatever it is, 8 feet away where those blocks are. So that's why we need to now go in the basement and support that with a proper beam and telepost. That'll be our next step. Oh man, those are in there. Those ring shank nails hold. Don't want to knock my new saw off. Oops. Okay, so now we're down in the basement. This is, you can obviously see the stairwell opening here. This is where the beam's going to go. It's going to sit right underneath here, flush to this inside. and back to wherever it ends up here. Each one of these pieces is 1 3/4, I believe. Yeah. So we'll be 3.5 inches thick total when it's built. I want to catch this joist here with the end of the beam, and it doesn't have to catch this one. I think it ends up just catching this last short one somewhere here. I forget just where it stops. I know I cut it at 10 feet. Now you might be wondering what the straps are about. So I was just doing some redneck engineering thinking about this, and I thought, I was just trying to figure out how I can hold that beam up there till I get my posts all in place and everything. So we just hung some ratchet straps, one at each end. So we should be able to stick the beam through this so it'll hang off of there on both ends. I can kind of suck it up pretty close, I think, with the ratchet straps as well. So we'll see. It might be a fail, but it'll hold it up there and keep it from falling on our heads anyways. Now, I had mentioned that there's going to be teleposts under here. So I've got a mark on the floor, pretty much where I want them hopefully to be. And part of that is that underneath the concrete floor there's a concrete footing, an 8-inch thick footing that's, I think they were 30 inches by 30 inches. So there's extra reinforcement there. So, I mean, we've got some play right to left here, but I pretty much need to be centered this way so that I end up in the wall where I want it to be. But I do have a little bit of play this way, a couple inches one way or the other. Isn't going to make a huge difference. So to start out with, I'm going to nail this LVL together. So this is basically an engineered laminated beam. This particular one's made out of plywood. You can get them made out of like almost like OSB. It's not quite the same, but it's similar. But this one's plywood. It's going to be 2 plies. I already said they're 1 3/4 each. And this beam is going to be just top loaded. So really we only need to nail on this height of beam 4 nails every 12 inches on one side. But I am going to nail it on both sides. It's just force of habit. But when you're dealing with these types of beams, there's no crown to them or anything, so you don't need to look for a crown. Just basically flush them up and on the ends and the bottom, and nail it off. So I'm going to start by doing that. So I've got what are those 3 1/4 inch nails in my nailer. This is going to be a total of 3.5 inch, so they shouldn't poke through the other side. If I was nailing just normal 1x type boards together and it was only 3 inches thick, these nails would poke through the other side. But if you nail them at a bit of an angle, then usually they won't come through the other side. So just a little pro tip there for you. In this case, I can just nail straight in and not have to worry. So we look pretty good there. A lot of nail guns will not nail these nails flush into this type of material. This Milwaukee's incredible. Okay, so I don't think I mentioned the thickness, but the total height, this is 9.5. So it's actually the same height as our floor joist. And again, these can come in all different heights. Maybe what I'll do, I'll pre-set up my teleposts, get them set up roughly to height, and then that way it's less time that the beam has to hang in those straps there. So that is 93, and we'll call it 3/8. That's about 1/4. So we need to be in that range minus our 9.5. So easiest way to do something like this without hurting your brain doing math. I know to the top of this is going to be about 93 3/8 or 1/4. I just line my tape up and read what it is down here, and that's what I need for my post height. So we're looking for about 83.5 would get us close, and then I can adjust it from there. Okay, so these posts, what was spec'd? I think it was spec'd for 3,000 pound posts. These posts are like 8,000 pounds, so I've got more than enough post. More than enough strength, I should say. So these posts are adjustable. So all the parts are what you see here. Okay, so you've got a plate for the top, plate for the bottom. Sorry, I should rephrase that. One plate for the bottom of the post, and the top plate actually goes on the underside of the beam that you're mounting. Okay, this pin fits in these holes. This is what makes the post adjustable, so you can get it close to what you need. Put this pin through the hole, it slides down, and then this is your adjustable part of this telepost. So this would sit in the top of the post, and this is on the underside of your beam or whatever you're supporting. So it would sit like that. There's a hole in there, and the pin on the top of here needs to go in there. Okay, now something else. If you look on these plates, there's these 3 little nubs. I always like to put those up against the wood so that when you get some pressure on there, those kind of sink in there and it basically holds it in place. But we will be installing bolts as well. But just good practice to put those up. On the concrete, you can't really put them up. So then they go inside the post, which is honestly what they're really for, but just about everybody does it the other way. So yeah, so the bottom one, those are in the post, and that just gives the post a little bit of something to come up against if it happens to get smacked or whatever. Okay, so anybody remember that number? Because I don't. 93 5/8, I think, or 3/8 was our total. 83.5. So we've got to kind of include these thicknesses as well. So we need about another 6 inches for that. So 83.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're somewhere in that range. Okay, so these posts are made to do a lot of different heights. So now for the height we need, I've pulled it out far enough that there's no more holes, right? But all you have to do is flip this around now. And that basically gives you what you need. Somewhere in that range. We'll sneak up to this hole. I think that'll still work. Come on. Get in there. Okay, and on that pin, so that pin that goes through there, those holes, there's these little indents. Those need to go down, and they hook in the top of the lower part of the pipe. And that's so that once there's weight on there, that pin can't slide one way or the other. So I think at that position we're going to be all right. I'll just give it a little quick check here. Yeah, we were looking for about 85.5, so we should be really close right there. Sorry, I keep dropping that plate, it's probably loud. So I'll get these posts just laid close for now. So remember I had the crosshairs here on the floor for my post location. So with that hole in the middle, I can actually line that up if I want to, and get some marks out on the outside, just to give me a better idea once I'm moving that post around, because I'm not going to see my crosshairs once that plate's sitting there. So if I need it to be fairly particular, that's one way to know what you're looking for. Okay, so we got that. We've got this post set up. Move it over here so we don't trip on it, hopefully. And I'll set the second post up. We were in the third hole down. Just going to get things so they're close for us. Okay, I think we're ready to heave that baby up in there.
Your post is too short.
Oh yes, I flipped it the wrong way. Thanks. Somebody's going to comment on that. Oh, I see you changed your post. I was screaming at the screen. Thank you. It's just because it is heavy, so I don't want anybody to hurt themselves. Let's roll it. Like, yep. Oh yeah, no problem. That's probably good. And actually that's pretty decent where it's hanging even for side to side. I'll probably have to adjust it over a little bit, but let me go and try and see if I can just ratchet it up that way. These probably aren't the best ones to use for this because they have a quick release. That works. Except that I think both straps are exactly where the plate's going to sit for the pipe, for the post. Oh, no. Of course. No. Of course it is. Okay, well that's easy enough. I'll release one at a time and just slide them over, because yeah, this is going to be it's going to be so close. Just better off to have them out of the way. So I'm going to slide those straps over, but that did work well to lift them and hold it. Yeah, so if I slide this way, I think it's going to stay there. Those should be out of the way now. So we'll just get the posts underneath there close, and then I can check them for plumb and everything after that. Quite gusty today, the wind. It's better than the rain we've been having. I mean, we need rain. Last year it was so dry. We had forest fires everywhere, but the last couple of weeks have been kind of extreme. Okay, so we're in the ballpark there. Do the same thing with this one. Oh, I went in the fourth hole. Believe me when I tell you, when you're working with these, don't ever forget about those plates not being secure, because you don't want them falling on your head. And don't ask me how I know. Okay, so I've just kind of got them finger snug up there. Oops. So that I can move things around a little bit. And I'll just check them for plumb. Like I said, I kind of had a position at the floor that I kind of would like these to stay, so. I'm pretty good. So that one's pretty nice. Whoops, wrong way. That's deadly. Okay. So now I can take a wrench. Now I'll just snug those up. Once we get the subfloor and that on, a little bit of weight on this, I'll come down and readjust, get everything how I want it. But for now, we know that we put that straight piece across there, so we should be pretty flat. I just want to kind of take up, I don't want to lift them off the wall over there. Just kind of get some weight off them. And then I'm going to take these, I don't know what they are, 1 3/4 JR, what are they? GRK screws, but they're basically a structural screw. They don't come with the pole. You could use a leg bolt. I like these because you usually don't have to pre-drill. So that'll keep that plate from moving up there. My plate twisted a little bit. Okay, so that'll keep those plates from slipping and sliding. The ones on the floor, I will fasten to the concrete as well. We don't have in-floor heat tubing or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you do have in-floor heat, be cautious of that. If you had in-floor heat, I would probably just use some PL adhesive and stick them to the floor. Once that's dry, they won't go anywhere. But I just don't have my drill right now, but I will put a couple anchors in there, just some, looks like they're about, I don't know, they might be 1/4-inch holes, so I'll use some 1/4-inch hammer and anchors and bolt those plates to the floor as well. So like I said, this works well and is a little bit cheaper than doing the, you know, the engineered beams and stuff at each end like I had mentioned before. And this is going to be a wall anyways, so these posts will be in the wall and nobody will know any difference. This is going to be a plumbing wall, so it's nice and thick and it'll hide those posts. You can see that I'm supporting, this is the very first cut-off joist at this end. This is a full one. This is the very first cut-off joist. I'm supporting all the other cut-off joists. Plus I'm supporting this joist that's full length where the top of the stairs will be attached to. And it'll just take a little bit of bounce out of the stairs. So the stairs, when they're in here, are going to be coming down here, back in that area. So now that's all that's left to do is I've got to go up and basically toenail that very first rim board that I put on. Toenail it down into the beam. And maybe I'll even throw the odd nail through this flange on the joist into the beam too, and that'll just keep it from being able to kick out. And when I do that, I'll just flush this side of the beam up with everything in the stairwell side. So, and then I'll recheck my plumb of my poles. It's actually pretty flush now, but I probably will have to adjust my plumb just a little bit. So I think that's the main gist of everything that I want to show you there. The floor joist system is just about complete. I've got a little bit more blocking to do here and there, and some final little touches. And then we're gonna do the sheathing, and there'll be a video for that. So keep watching for it. This cabin build, we're gonna have a ton of videos. You're not gonna wanna miss any of them. So again, click the thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share with all your friends on Facebook.